Hello everyone, this is a more in-depth explanation of NBT crafting, and it's really complicated, I'm not gonna lie, but today I'm gonna show you how to do it. So first I'll show you what we're gonna be creating, how it's gonna look like in the end, and then we're gonna start from scratch from a template, Datapack, and resource pack that I created, that you can also download, and work our way up to the final result. So, if I go to this crafting table and put a blazer on and two nether stars, you can see I can craft this custom blade, which already has a name, has some lore, presumably has some stats. This is just a showcase item, but what this is trying to show is that you can make this any item you want, and then when I actually craft this, I get it replaced with a real sword that I can attack. I don't know, normal sword. So, how are we going to be doing this? We're going to be taking a clean item, and we're going to be creating the illusion of NBT right here in the crafting grid. So let me first replace the showcase resource pack with the template resource pack, and also get rid of the data pack. So data pack, disable showcase, and enable template. There we go. So this is the sword that we want. And we're gonna have to convincingly create an illusion that a clean item with no NBT looks like this. So you can use literally any item in the game, or possibly even a block, but that wouldn't really make sense if you're crafting an item. Now, I'm a big fan of corals because there's just so many of them, and unless you're building like an aquatic themed map or something, then you're probably not gonna use all of them. So just pick one that you know for sure aren't gonna use. And I say we can use a dead fire coral, for example. So let's take this coral and make this look like this sword. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a good screenshot of the tooltip of this item. So for that, you're going to want a few things. You're going to want some sort of container. I'll take a chest. And you're going to want white concrete. Now bear with me here, because you're going to build this little structure. Something like this, possibly expand it a little more, and then place a container right here. What this allows you to do is to get a small edge here, as opposed to just a crafting inventory where it's kind of huge. And then if you take this item and hover over it, let's move it one slot higher so it doesn't interfere with my hand. And then once you move your mouse precisely to this location, where you can see the edge of the top left edge of the tooltip is just peeking out. There's that 1 pixel gap. So this is as far as you're going to want to go, because if you move it 1 pixel too far to the right, it's going to disappear. And once you have it hovered like this, you're going to want to take a screenshot. Now you can use, obviously, any screenshot tool for this. I use ShareX, but you can just use Windows Shift S, or if you're on a different operating system, then just use whatever is most convenient for you. There we go. And you want to make sure that all of it, the entire tooltip is screenshotted. So now let's open up a image editing software. Now, I do recommend Paint.net. I've used this software for many years, and it's completely fine for what we want to do. If you have Photoshop, sure, use that. Please do not use Microsoft Paint, because it's not going to work. You're going to need a transparency support. Anyways, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it in Paint.net. If you know how to use other software, feel free to follow along with that. So, first things first, we're going to isolate only the actual tooltip, like this. Now, it is worth noting that this isn't going to work with italics. If you put italics in here, it's not going to work. We're going to have to shrink this image by 3x so that it actually fits into the Minecraft character size rendering limit. And if we use italic, it's going to get really weirdly compressed once we actually shrink it down. So basically, italics are not going to work. You're going to have to take my word for it, or try it out and see that it's going to fail. Now that this is isolated, let's get rid of these corners. So delete that, delete this, like so. That's 2, scroll all the way down, 3, and 4. Now, this is where we actually shrink the image. So as you can see, 1 pixel here is actually 3 pixels for me. If you have a better resolution screen, this might be 4, it might be 5, I have no idea. But basically figure out how many pixels this is. And then you're going to want to resize the image shrink the image to be 1 pixel per pixel, pretty much. So in Paint.net, it's image resize, and then you're going to take the width, you're going to open up your favorite calculator app and do 441 or whatever number you have here, and divide it by the pixel count, so 3 for me, and shrink it to 147. 147. Make sure maintain aspect ratio is on so that the height is also changed. And in case that's not done, you're going to want to have resampling set to nearest neighbor. So now you can see 1 pixel per pixel like this. Now we're going to have to match the transparency of the Minecraft tooltip. This is going to be a little bit complicated, so pay very close attention to what I'm saying. You're going to take the magic wand and you're going to set the tolerance to 0, and then you're going to want to select the background by holding shift. Now the reason we're holding shift is so that it also selects stuff like the inside of the O, because if I just click it, you can see the C, the O, the B, and so on. They're not going to get selected. So hold shift while clicking that, like this. And then we're also going to want to include the background of each text. So we're going to do that by holding shift, control, and then clicking. So we're going to add this, still keep holding shift, control, and for every different text color that you have, you're going to have to do this separately, and shift, control, oops, I misclicked, shift, control here, and now you have everything. We also have this outer edge selected, which we don't want, so go into the rectangle select tool and either remove it by dragging over it with subtract, or what I like to do is intersect, so only take the inside like this. I'm holding control, I think, for scrolling or for zooming like this. And now you can see we only have the inside selected. Now we're going to control X so we get rid of it. This is approximately what it should look like. And I'm going to go into a new layer, paste it in, and now it's time to actually match the transparency. So I've done some experimenting on my own, and I figured out that the best value for this is 195. It's as close as we'll get to the vanilla rendering opacity. So if you set it to 195, this is your final image. Now you're going to want to flatten the image into just one layer, and we're going to save it as a PNG. Very cool. I'm in the showcase. So let's go back to the template, assets, Minecraft, and then textures. And here comes a crossroad. If you're using an item, such as a stick or something like that, then you're going to want to go into the item directory. But if you're using a coral, which is technically a block, then you're going to want to go into the block directory. So because we're using a block, we're going to the blocks. Actually, no, scratch what I said. Sorry. You're going to go into item and icons. My bad. Item icons. And then save this as whatever you want. I'm going to save it as blade.png. So that's our image. Now we're gonna want to make sure that this character is actually rendered in the game. So for that, we're gonna go back to the resource pack, go into assets, Minecraft, and then font, and open up default.json. Ignore the space stuff. This is for negative spaces so that we can actually make it render correctly. But here's the one that is interesting or important, rather say. And that is this one. So the file we're using is item icons, and then we named it blade.png, so match that name. And set the character to any character you want. I would recommend choosing one that's not used in any alphabet, so that it doesn't clash with different language rendering, but also one that is easily accessible. So what I like to do is just use random alt codes. So if I hold alt and type 30, it's going to give me this triangle symbol, which I've never seen used. So this is perfect. And what this is going to do is every time we put this character into the game, it's going to render as that. Now, one more thing is that we have to correctly set the height. Okay, so if you go back into paint.net, you're going to want to count the lines. Okay, this sounds a little strange, but you're going to really want to do this. So 1, 2, 3 empty lines count, so 4, 5, 6, and then multiply that by 10 and add 8. I'm sorry for how ridiculous this sounds, but because we have 6 lines, we're going to want 68 on the height, like this. Now save this, and let's see how it looks in the game. So if I reload the resource pack, like this, and then type the character, so alt 30, you can see this renders correctly as our item. Now, we're still missing the part where it puts it into the name, so let's do that now. And we're going to do that by going back to the resource pack and going to Assets, Minecraft, Lang, and then opening up NUS. Ideally, you then want to clone the language file so it works for everything, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm only putting it in NUS. Again, if you're using item, change this to item. But now we're going to add the name of the block in this case that we're using, which is dead underscore fire underscore coral. Once again, if you're using like a stick, make sure to change this to item and then stick. But if it's a block, keep it as a block. And right here in the middle of the two negative spaces, we're going to add the character. So once again, Alt 30. You can use any character you want. Or, yeah, but just make sure that it's the same one as this. Now, if I save this, you can see that once I reload this resource back, this item will now have the correct tooltip. It will look messed up in the creative inventory, but if I go to adventure like this, you can see the tooltip is pretty much identical. Okay, there is the 1 pixel black edge, which we can do absolutely nothing about, but it looks good enough, in my opinion. It is convincing enough, and yeah, no one will notice. Anyways, you can see that the texture still isn't right. So for that, let's grab the Minecraft texture. So we can go to github.com/inventive talent dev/minecraft-assets. I'm going to put this in the description along with the downloads and paint.net and other stuff. And go to the 1.20.1 branch or whatever version you're on. And then once you go into assets, you can search for the file. So we're looking for an iron sword, right? Iron sword, and we're looking for the PNG. And now I can take this copy image, go back into paint.net, open it up, that's right, and save it into, and this is what I was talking about previously. If you're using a coral, go into block. If you're using an item, go into item. But since we're using a coral, we're gonna save it here. So this will be dead underscore fire underscore coral.png, like this. I don't think you have to add the .png, it will probably be added automatically, but I'm doing it regardless. And now once we reload, you can see that this is complete. It's done. Fabulous. So that's the illusion of the item done, but now we actually have to make the crafting system. So once I hop back into creative, you can see that if I take, what was the recipe? A blaze rod, like this, and nether star, 2 of them, like that. I don't think it's going to pop up, and if so, it's a remnant of the past data pack. No. Cool. So we have to add the recipe. For that, we're going to hop into the template Datapack. Ideally in VS Code, you could probably do it with Notepad++ or just Notepad, but why would you do that? Anyways, right here we have a few files that we're going to have to change. Firstly, actually, before we do any of that, let's make a scoreboard. So we're going to want to have a scoreboard for when you actually craft this item. And we can add that by scoreboard objectives add the name, which you can call whatever you want. I prefer calling it with the actual name of the item, so I'm going to call it dead, what was it? Dead fire coral? Was it called that? And then crafted. Oh, you're going to have to type out Minecraft.crafted : Minecraft.dead fire coral. There we go. So now we have a scoreboard that increments every time the dead fire coral is crafted. And now we can actually detect that in the function. So first of all, let's add the recipe. Let's rename template to blade, why not? And here we're going to define the recipe. So if you're using a normal sword pattern, you're going to do space, hashtag space, and then space, hashtag space, and then space, slash space. You can change the hashtags, slashes to whatever character you want. You can have this like an N and this an S. Sorry, N for nether star and B for blaze rod. But why not use those symbols? Make sure it looks like the crafting recipe. I don't know how better to explain it. And now let's map them. So hashtag is going to be nether underscore star. There we go. And copy this for the slash, paste it right here. Yeah, duplicate key, and change it to a blaze underscore rod. There we go. And the resulting item is not an iron sword, but a dead fire coral. There we go. Now, if I save this, oh, it's going to get messed up. Let me just save it without formatting. There we go. And if I reload in the game, reload, there we go. This should now pop up, but it's probably not going to work. Yeah. If I craft this, it will just give me the fake item, which I can actually show you. It's going to look like this, and it's not a real iron sword, which is not exactly what we want. So first of all, let me reset the scoreboard. Dead fire coral. The other one was for the showcase, so ignore that. And now if I go into, yeah, let's leave this alone. If I go into tick, here's where we do the little magic. So if score, and this is going to be the name of our scoreboard, which I named Datapack Portal. You could name it whatever you want. And then copy paste that here, 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 and here. Then here we're going to actually put the name of the item, which once again matches in this case, but if you were to use a different scoreboard name, make sure this is the actual item name because we're clearing it from the player. And then we have to give them the real item, which I have saved right here in a command block. Oh, I don't. Okay, well, that's inconvenient. Then I have it saved in this notepad. Here we go. This. So let me just grab the iron sword part and go back here and put it into the give at s. This is all we need. It's 3 lines of code plus the recipe. But now, if I go into the game, do /reload, and grab the nether star again, let's get stack blaze rod. Here we go. And if I put this here, it's going to clear the other one, which is inconvenient. But you can see that it actually crafts the correct item, and this is now for real an iron sword, as you can see. And once again, this should work infinitely. So if I try this again, the crafting works, and it looks pretty much unnoticeable. So that is how you do this NBT crafting illusion thingy. That took way too long. I apologize, but it is a pretty complicated process. Thank you for watching. I'm not sure if you found this useful. I hope you did, and if not, at least you found it cool. Bye-bye.